All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Oh, we're already recording.
Shut up and sit down.
Okay. Where do we start? Okay, so we'll start off with just a little.
Your intro about how you forgot to mention our age.
Yeah. So we'll start there. Little housekeeping item from last time. That what's the description I had on there for the? I'll just read the description.
You said you were 30 and I was 11.
Yeah, a sec. Okay. So I had my original intro was Justin's 30, Jack's 11. Together they're sports nerds. They decided to start a podcast for hockey and baseball. This is that podcast. Well, we omitted from last time's episode.
I'm 12 now.
Yeah, you're 12. I'm 31. So that was completely wrong for a few days. Blew it. Seems to be the way things go.
Yeah. Especially
See when you start off the podcast just chewing.
Yeah. So
Now what?
what do you want to talk about? Like what we've done between the past couple?
Yeah, that was the next point.
Yeah.
Not yet. I wanted to just point out that you have an awful lot on the go, always. So I wanted to bring that up.
Okay.
A little Jack update. Just wanted to say that you're into baseball full swing now.
Yeah.
Oakville, what's the name of your team? Oakville A's?
Yeah.
You're playing on the AAA team this year?
Yeah.
What level?
You just said it.
AAA what, though?
Like 8. You mean 8?
Yeah.
Like minor peewee.
Minor peewee. What position you playing this year?
First and outfield.
So that's what you were last year, too?
And pitcher.
Are you going to pitch, too?
Yeah. A lot.
A lot?
Yeah.
How much is a lot?
Probably if every game I play 5 innings or so, and then which is a lot considering we only, or maybe 4 innings considering we only play 7 innings, and I'll probably play every other game unless it's a tournament.
Okay.
But yeah, so we practice the entire year in winter too. And in winter, there's 7 practices you can go to, 1 team practice, and every other one's optional. And then starting, I think it was March, there was more that you had to go to, and now it's it's almost May, and our first game is May 1st. So we haven't started outdoor practices yet because of the weather.
A little chilly.
Yeah, and it's snowing a lot.
Yeah.
But our first outdoor practice is Saturday, and then after that, I'm on the field probably 4, 5, 6 times a week.
That's a lot. When I played baseball when I was a kid, and where I'm from, there was no level. There was just a team because there's everybody that could play. We usually practice twice a week and play 1 game, maybe 2 games at the most. Yeah. So we were usually out 3 to 4 times a week max. Different world, man.
Yeah.
So baseball season is on. You're on the top team in your age group this year, right?
Yeah.
That's cool. You were on. So you were on AAA team last year, but there was a AAA A team, and AAA B team.
There's 2 teams. So when we did the tryouts, the AAA A team picked the players first, the better players. They got to pick their players, and then the AAA B team picked basically whoever the best players were after that.
Are you still in tryouts right now, or is that done?
For baseball?
Yeah.
Oh, that was 7 months ago.
Oh, it's already done. Okay, I thought you had to do tryouts again, but that's done. Teams are set.
Yeah, teams
That's
are set till next year because we practice all through the winter. So it's also kind of like hockey. As soon as the season ends, it's 2 more weeks, and then you have tryouts again for next year.
I just want to take this moment to point out we got the Leafs and Bruins are coming on Game 4. We're recording this Thursday night, the 19th, and just want to point out Elliot Friedman's hair is always wild, and it's exceptionally wild tonight. It's just all spiked up. Can't even handle it right now. Anyway,
All right.
if Jack like spazzes at any given moment, it's because the Leafs probably scored or gave up a goal or something. Just fair warning. Game's coming on in a few minutes.
So if I yell and you like get deaf, then it's me. So you can blame me. Don't leave a dislike.
Okay. And hockey's wrapped up. We wrapped up a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. Well, I'm still playing like 2 or 3 times a week, like pre-tryouts and then my goalie training.
Hey, this kid does 1-on-1 goalie training. He's a warrior.
And then tryouts start Sunday.
Sunday?
Yeah.
Tryouts for next season.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
Because it goes all year around.
It's crazy. So where you're trying, like, you're setting the team for next year in the next couple of weeks?
Yeah.
Are you trying out for AA or AAA?
Yeah, AA.
You played for basically the high A team this year.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And put up pretty good numbers. How many shutouts did you have? Like your first 3 games were shutouts or something.
First 4 games were all shutouts.
Yeah.
Shutout stat doesn't matter at all, but I got 14.
You had 14 shutouts?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
No.
Okay.
1.87 goals against average and a 959 save percentage.
Those are pretty good numbers. So you didn't get 14 shutouts or you did?
I did.
Okay. Because I said, are you serious? And you said no.
Oh, I did?
Yes.
Oh. Oh. No,
Okay.
yeah, 14 shutouts.
That's more than most people get.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. You should make the AA team.
Hopefully.
I tried to get AAA in your head, but apparently you didn't get an invite to AAA team?
Yeah, so it's kind of dumb because other people on my team did, and then I didn't.
That's weird. I was talking to your goalie coach for a minute there when I went to your training to pick you up the other night.
He actually thought you were a shooter.
Yeah.
He's like, well, I don't know if he told you this, but he was like, he kind of looked around weird, and then he whispered to the shooter on the ice. He was like, is he a shooter? And then he came over to me and like, do you know him? And I was like, yeah, he's here to pick me up.
I was talking to him for a minute though, and he said, Jack, he was talking about like how you had like you were driven and stuff like that, and he was like, you'll be at least AA next year, and he's like, he should be at least AA, and I said, well, yeah, I got AAA in his head, and I don't know if that was smart of me or not, because your mom was trying to downplay that apparently, and then I had no knowledge of this, and I was like, oh yeah, you're going AAA, and then I think it was okay, but
yeah.
Anyway, it was cool that he said that though, because I was like, I thought the same thing, like you should be at least AA, like, because you were like, if you actually had 14 shutouts, you shouldn't be in single A. Like, I'm sure that the AA goalies wouldn't get 14 shutouts in single A.
The funny thing is because I haven't actually told you this, but the AAA team right now is run by like a committee because their coach last year, they just found out a couple of weeks ago that he had a criminal record.
That's awkward.
Yeah, I don't want to tell you what because it's kind of inappropriate, but
okay. We'll talk about that offline.
Yeah. So he's actually not allowed to coach. So right now, it's run by people that like not by Oakville, but they actually. So my goalie coach, his friend, is actually going to coach. So nobody else knows. Like probably me and like only like 2 other people probably know. But he's coaching this coming year. So we actually do have a coach, but the tryouts aren't run by him because they haven't told everybody yet. So
okay, cool. All
right.
Yeah, so you're a high level athlete, hockey and baseball. We didn't tell people that before, so I thought that was important to get that in there. Lots on the go. Yeah, so since the last podcast, the one part that we always want to do before we get going is what we've done in between. when we're not doing podcasts. We hang out pretty well every week, and what were we doing in between?
Yeah.
And
so,
yeah.
The only thing is one thing we actually forgot to mention is not between this week and the last podcast, but between last podcast and a couple of weeks ago, we did a fantasy or baseball fantasy draft.
Yeah, we mentioned on the last podcast that we did an escape room for your birthday. Well, before we did the escape room that same day, we did a fantasy baseball draft.
Yeah.
Your first fantasy experience, I believe, right?
Yeah.
You didn't know how to do it or anything.
Yeah,
so.
no. I got good on with the mock draft.
And now you're very much obsessed with it, I think.
Yeah, I'm addicted.
Yeah. So, what do you like about your team? You been making moves? You adding and dropping guys still?
And not as much.
No.
Yeah.
You got Mike Trout in the first round of the draft?
Yeah, I'd say my 3 best players are probably Mike Trout, Kenley Jansen, and
He's having a tough start, I heard.
Kenley Jansen?
Yeah.
Oh.
Their manager says something about he doesn't look right or something. Anyway.
I'd say Mike Trout, Kenley Jansen, and either Buster Posey, Adrian Beltre, Aaron Judge, Corey Kluber, Luis Severino, Garrett Cole. Yeah, I have a lot of good players.
My best player's on the DL.
Yeah.
I got Madison Bumgarner, Josh Donaldson, and Christian Yelich isn't on the DL anymore, but he was. So those are probably my best players. I got some pretty good pitchers. I got Scherzer, Syndergaard, Ohtani, Arrieta, Kimbrel, Ozuna, Miller, Betances.
Yeah, he has a really good bullpen. My bullpen is pretty trash. Like, my best player is Kenley Jansen in the bullpen, and then I have David Price, which is, for me, on here as a starter, but it would also count relief, so pitching. So
yeah, he's a valuable guy because he can go in either slot.
Yeah,
starting pitcher or relief.
He'll pitch a good amount. And then, but other than that, I have like Brad Brock, Will Harris. I have Zach Britton on the DL, which he's actually good, but he's on a 60-day DL, which is not very good. And then, but like my bullpen is really bad. So, and your bullpen's amazing.
Yeah, that's right. Better respect.
Yeah.
All right, so besides the, we did that before the last podcast. What we've been doing since, we've kind of come out of nowhere. Leafs tickets became available. A couple days. I think it was the next day, actually, after we did the podcast. Last game of the season for the Leafs and the Habs.
Yeah.
And
Leafs are in playoffs right now. Is coming on the ice.
Yeah, that was a good game though.
Yeah.
For what it was.
Yeah, it was good. Kind of whiffed on the puck.
Yeah, that was Carey Price at the end there. That was kind of the biggest moment of the game.
Pretty much describes Montreal's season perfectly. But,
it did. It was like a masterpiece, like the cherry on top of the season, just whiffing on the puck and letting the empty netter in right at the end.
Yeah. So that's pretty much all what we've been doing since.
Well, no.
What else?
So the other thing we did since we last met
was the bowling. There was a fundraiser, wasn't it?
It's called Bowl for Kids' Sake through Big Brothers Big Sisters.
And it was a fundraiser, right?
Yeah, they do all kinds of these. It's kind of one of their biggest fundraisers. So they had one in Oakville a little while ago. Yeah. This one was in Burlington. I think it was their last one of the year. So they put out an email saying we have 8 slots for bigs and littles to come and bowl for free. And I signed up and we got in to bowl for free. So that was the other thing that we did since the last podcast.
And then also about the Leafs game, the way we got to go is Jeff Powell.
Yeah, shout out Jeff Powell.
Yeah.
Coming in clutch.
Yeah. For the boys. Gave us gave Big Brothers Big Sisters tickets, and we got them. So that's actually how we got to the Leafs and Habs game.
We told him we were gonna give him a shout out, and we're 15 minutes into this thing, and we almost forgot. So thank you for that. I was gonna forget.
Thank you, Jeff Powell.
Jeff Powell, what a beauty. Okay. What else?
That's probably it. So
let's get into
this week's topics. So
Jays.
Yeah. So first off, we're gonna talk about the Jays' hot start. 12-5. Like right now,
is that the record?
Yeah, they're 12-5, and at the beginning of the season, you would almost think that the record should be the opposite of what it is now.
There weren't high hopes.
And even before, even before they started off the season with a bad note, they started off the season going 0-2 and having 2 straight blowout games. But even before that, they had no chance. And then 2 games in, they're like, okay, yeah, we're definitely screwed. And then 17 or 15 or whatever games later, they're second in the AL East.
12-5, and
crazy.
They should be in first, but Boston's so good.
Boston, yeah, because they got JD Martinez.
In almost any other division, they'd be in first, which is the story of our lives as Jays fans, the Yankees and. Yeah.
I don't know the rest. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know what you were trying to sing there.
That was a song.
Okay. Clearly, it was a song.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Red Sox and the Yankees are always good.
The Yankees are 500 right now, but they've only played 10 games, which they're 5-5.
So, what are your other observations on the season?
Well, see,
17 games in.
There's been some guys that weren't really supposed to do what they've done so far,
like who?
Curtis Granderson, people almost think he's on steroids.
He has exceeded expectations.
Last year, I know he used to be a really good player, but last year he only hit .212, and then this year, whatever he's batting, he's been he's
over 300 right now.
Yeah.
He won't stay that way. Can't imagine. But
I think he could easily hit 260 this year, which would be amazing. But he hit .212 last year, and he led off. He was the leadoff hitter for the Jays last night.
Yeah.
Talk about some guys coming in clutch. Because if you're gonna if you're gonna make the postseason, you're gonna need those type of players that exceed your manager's expectations. Curtis Granderson, Grichuk has been kind of a disappointment, but he's been decent in the past couple games.
Just want to point out, Boston just scored. How do you feel about that? Where are we at here? We're 30 seconds into the game, 28 seconds into the game. 1-0 Boston. It's okay, man. They're going to put Toronto into the misery soon.
No, they're going to
No?
win.
Okay. Sorry, Grichuk.
Yeah, Grichuk. He's been a little bit of a disappointment, but he's been decent in the past couple games, but Maley has been...
Luke Maley, man, he's been good.
Yeah, Yami Garcia has actually been really good. He could, by the end of the season, if he keeps up this pace, he could be a number 3 starter, or even a number 2 starter if Sanchez gets hurt.
Yeah, very good fifth starter right now.
Yeah, Russell Martin has actually started the year off pretty good. He's
been cold lately. I think his average is under 200 right now.
Yeah, but he hasn't really hit for average in the first couple of games, but the clutch factor where he's hit some good bombs where it's tied 2-2, there's 2 men on base, and Russell Martin comes up, hits a 3-run home run or something, and it's 5-2, the game's over pretty much. So, he hasn't really hit for average, but he's coming when you need to come in. So, that's that's a big part of how a team wins games is those not really big players coming in clutch.
I was at the game yesterday, Wednesday afternoon game. They're playing Kansas City. They won 15-5.
Yeah.
And
Kansas City, by the way, has been pretty bad.
Yeah, they're not a very good team, but so I don't know if that's necessarily an indication of how good Toronto's going to be because they're playing a really bad team.
Yeah.
But what I loved about the game yesterday was small ball. Too often the Jays rely on home runs, and it was they hit home runs yesterday, but it was so refreshing that they could actually drive guys in with singles and doubles. And
yeah, that's the thing they have a problem. They've had problems with in the past is getting hits in a row.
It's infuriating.
Maybe they get 1 home run in an inning, but they can't get 2 hits an entire they couldn't get 2 hits in an inning. They couldn't get a single and then get another single. They're like one and done type of team.
Yeah, so many games or so many innings, just inning by inning in past seasons. You'd get a guy, first guy up, single, next guy up, double, strikeout.
Yeah, and they go into like they get a lot of double plays. Like it's like this. They start off the inning with like a single, like great. Now you have none out. Like let's drive him in. It should be pretty simple. Then it's like a strikeout. Okay, we're gonna need at least a base hit now. And then somebody comes up, gets a double. Like they get a double play. It like just knocks the life out of their team.
Yeah. Yeah. What else?
I love Teoscar Hernandez though.
He shouldn't have been sent down.
No, and you said that Gibbons said he should stay. He shouldn't go back down.
He said today that he's done enough. Like I think the phrase he used was, "They're a better team with him in the lineup."
Yeah, that's very true. Like I said this in the car to you that when Teoscar Hernandez hits his prime, I think he could be a Walmart version, which means like same type of player, but maybe not as
just
good.
not quite as good. Like 80% of that player.
Yeah, 80% of that player of George Springer, which I think is pretty accurate. They probably have like the same amount of playing. Probably have like same equal like playing style.
What's interesting about that comparison is that Teoscar Hernandez came from the Astros.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. He used to be on the Astros. Now, the Astros have they have such a good future, and they're isn't it Kyle Tucker that they have in the outfield?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't.
I think his name's Kyle Tucker, and he's like a really bright future. They have Tony Kemp at second base. Yeah, they already have.
But Altuve played second.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing I find with every team is they have like one star player, and then they have like a really bright future player at the same position. Like for example, the Jays. Like I'll just start talking about them. They have Josh Donaldson at third base, and they have Vladimir Guerrero Jr. also at third base. Yeah. But probably the best hitter in the minor leagues right now.
Well, him and Bo Bichette.
Yeah, they're probably the two best hitters, and they're on the exact same team.
Bo Bichette's I think he's a middle infielder, second base and short.
Stop.
Yeah.
By the way, they've started the season off so hot.
Red hot in Double-A.
In Double-A, isn't Bo Bichette sitting way over 300, and then Vladdy's just a little behind him, but really.
Vladdy's younger. I think Vladdy's only 19.
Vladdy's 19 and Bo Bichette's 20, and talking about Teoscar Hernandez being a Walmart version of George Springer, I think if you look at it, Vladdy Guerrero Jr. could probably be somewhat close of a player to I want to say, what's a good hitting third baseman?
Josh Donaldson.
Yeah, he is kind of like Josh. Vladdy.
He could step in and by 22 or 23 be at a Josh Donaldson level.
I think Vladdy can be better than Josh Donaldson.
Yeah, very possible. His dad was better than Josh Donaldson.
Oh, he was a legend.
Yeah.
I think he could almost be like a Chris Bryant, maybe. I mean, Chris Bryant's kind of like a balanced player almost.
It's been a while now, but a couple of years ago, somebody said that he was the best hitting player they'd ever seen for his age. He's 17 years old, as they'd never seen in their life. A scout, I'm assuming. I forget who it was now, so this is cheap, but somebody said, and it was in a report somewhere, that Vladdy was the best hitting 17-year-old they'd ever seen in their entire life.
Huh. Yeah, I watched a video a couple weeks ago of him as a 16-year-old. It's hitting bombs at Air Canada Center because they drafted him then. Or Air Canada Center. Jeez.
Rogers Center?
Rogers Center. I think Vladdy could almost be like Nolan Arenado, to be honest. He's...
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Bo Bichette could easily be... I mean, there's not, if you think about it, there's not really a lot of good hitting shortstops in the game right now. I'd say the only really good hitting shortstop that comes to mind is probably Corey Seager. And, Manny Machado's decent, but he's more of a fielder. Bo Bichette is probably more of a hitter. has a really good average. So, kind of like Carlos Correa, to be honest.
Yeah. Back on the here and now for the Jays.
Yeah.
Teoscar Hernandez, I think, has played his way onto this team. They can't send him back to AAA.
No.
So the question today is, what do they do when Donaldson comes back? Because are they going to go with a 5-man outfield plus Kendrys Morales, who can't play a position? Are they going to go? Because right now they've got.
I really do think they should buy out. I said this last video too, that they really should buy out Morales because he's not good. And I actually think I said this in the very first podcast. Is maybe not beginning of season. It might be a little too early to do this, but definitely the second half of the year. Call up Vladdy, call up Bo Bichette if they're having a good year. Like if they're hitting like 350 halfway through the season, bring them up to AAA, give them like 10 games in AAA. If they are like doing really good, and you're like either like kind of tanking or you're like.
Doesn't look like the Jays are going to tank at this point.
Yeah, but like if I would call them up at the last time and like maybe sit your better players and like I just bring up all those guys I want Teoscar Hernandez to play center. Like at this point,
he's not going to play center. Pilar's in center.
I'm not done. At this point, you could pretty much. Like, Granderson's getting old, but he's doing actually good, so you might actually be able to get some value. Not a lot, but you could get something for him. So what I think you can do is, actually, you know what, you put Teoscar Hernandez in right, put Pilar in center, but get rid of Granderson, try and trade him for, like, whatever you can. Oh, here we go. This is 2-on-1 for the Leafs. Oh, and it's stopped by Tuukka Rask. Anyways. Let's get back to what I'm saying. Try to trade Granderson for maybe another outfielder, but more of like a utility man, kind of like Solarte, who you said is your favorite player on the Jays right now.
Yeah, I got a lot to say on that. Not a lot to say, but
okay. Go
anyway, finish your thought. But we're trying to focus on the here and now, Jays. But you're stuck in the future.
Yeah,
so, finish your thought.
I'm just too excited for it.
I know. Yeah, I can tell.
I can't imagine how good Vladdy and Bo Bichette and Richard Urena. You don't know who
Anthony Alford.
Anthony Alford. They're gonna have such a good they probably have the best AAA outfield in the entire system. Alford. A lot of people forget about Pompey. And then,
he's been around forever, but he's still young and he's just been hurt.
He's 23 years old right now, but. I don't know.
I think he's a little older than that.
No, he's 20. He might be 25, actually.
I think he's 25. Anyway, what else?
They have somebody else in the outfield. Their outfield is ridiculously stacked in AAA. Their future's so good.
Dalton Pompey's 25.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. There's a lot of potential there, and for the first time in as long as I can remember, the Jays have prospects.
Yeah.
The only player on their roster right now that was brought up through their system, well, Teoscar Hernandez looks like he's going to be there, but he was brought up by the Astros system. They traded for him. Is Kevin Pilar?
Yeah, Russell Martin they got from.
He was a sign. They signed him.
But he used to be on Pittsburgh.
That's position player I meant because they got Stroman and Sanchez that brought up through the system too. But
Donaldson
was a trade.
Was part of a blockbuster deal.
Yeah. Probably the worst trade in MLB history.
Which kind of
for the Athletics, the best trade for MLB history.
Which kind of upsets me because, obviously not now because now they have such a bright future. But it kind of upsetted me a couple years ago. Is this really the only way we're gonna get good players is by trying to fool other teams? And
Alex Anthopoulos was awfully good at it.
Yeah.
He traded Vernon Wells. That might be before your time, but
they traded Noah Syndergaard.
Okay, that was a bad one. But yeah, you didn't know that until I told you though.
That's a scores! Woo!
Oh my goodness.
Let's go.
Plecky getting his first. Is that his first as a Leaf?
That is.
Cool. Okay, so I wanted to touch on a couple of things. We're done with the future of the Jays. It's well established. They got a good future.
Yeah.
A couple of things about now. What do you do with that outfield? So right now they have outfielders. They got 5 outfielders, and I feel like you shouldn't have a 5-man outfield. But right now they got Hernandez,
to be honest,
Pierce, Pilar, Grichuk, and Granderson.
To be honest, I think they gotta boost up their pitching staff. Definitely need, in my opinion, I know you're saying that they really already have an ace, but to be they kind of actually have 2 aces if you think about it. Yet both of their aces are kind of because Stroman is an ace, yet is extremely inconsistent. Yet Sanchez is also an ace, which he isn't inconsistent, but he's never healthy.
Aaron Sanchez had a disaster of a year last year with his injury.
He had 9 starts, which is...
I just want to look up. I think he was in the running for the Cy Young 2 years ago, and I thought he was going to win it. He didn't, but I see him as a high-end ace. I really do. If he's healthy.
Yeah, I think
By the way, 2 seasons ago, he was 7th in Cy Young voting.
That's good. That's really good. I think, though, if you, try and go out and get, a Yu Darvish type of guy, I know he signed with the Cubs, and their Cubs are, their pitching... They signed Jose Quintana and Yu Darvish, and that's, just lethal.
Yu Darvish choked in the playoffs, though.
Yeah, but, they sign a guy like that, they're going to be so good, and then...
You're on the future again, man.
No, but, okay, that's not my point.
Okay.
I think at this point they need to do something about the 5-man outfield because they can't have Pilar, Hernandez, Grichuk, Pierce, and Granderson. I
think you said Granderson, but I established the 5. It's Pierce, Granderson, Grichuk, Pilar, and Hernandez.
Right. Yeah. I think the 2 least valuable outfielders there are probably Steven Pierce and
to me Granderson is the other one.
This is where it comes in tough is Granderson is he's not known as the better Grichuk was supposed to be the better player, but the way it's played out this year Granderson's 100% the better player, but I trade Granderson because you get a little more value, so I trade him.
Granderson, he's old though, man.
Yeah,
he'd be good for a team. This is why I think the Jays should keep him. First of all, apparently he's awesome. He's a super good dude. So
he is.
And keeps things light, and he's a veteran. He's been there before. He's that's valuable to an extent. But if you're going to trade him, you're going to trade him to a team that's going to make a run, and he's a bench player. But I think he can do that with the Jays.
Yeah,
that's why I think he should be the guy coming off the bench for the Jays.
I could agree, but I say you got to trade Steve Pierce.
Yeah, 100%. I was just going to say that.
Him and one of their, I say Tulo. You're not going to get anything.
Tulo's not getting traded.
But,
he makes way too much money and does way too little. Nobody wants him. Buy
him and Morales out.
Yeah. And you're not the one stroking the checks.
No.
That was brought up today. I saw a conversation. There's a guy I follow on Twitter named. You like that? Gregor Chisholm, who works for MLB.com, and he was saying what? Oh yeah, I've been holding on to this for a while.
There we go.
Better late than never. My cola for the night. I almost forgot because I had it in my hand waiting for you to finish, and I didn't do it. Then you just prompted me. What was I saying? I was reading on Twitter. Gregor Chisholm had a conversation. He is an MLB.com writer, but what the Jays do when they're healthy, because they got a couple of guys that are dead weight. The one is Kendrys Morales.
And
but
Tulo.
I still think Tulo can play, just hasn't been healthy. But let's hear me out here on this, that Kendrys Morales and Steve Pierce their bats aren't good enough to justify them being on the roster, and they can play. They can't really play a position.
No, yeah, exactly.
So he brought up the idea of DFAing Kendrys Morales, designate for assignment.
Yeah, no, I know.
And send him to AAA on I think he makes $13 million. But so his argument was like, that's a tough pill to swallow. Like, are you going to do that if you're the Jays? You owe the guy $13 million. Do you want, like, should he be in AAA? And my answer to that is, if there's somebody else that makes $500,000 that is going to improve your team, yeah, get rid of the guy that makes $13 million.
Yeah.
Send him down. There's no point in having him.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I think they can trade Pierce. I don't think Pierce's contract's too bad.
No, yeah.
I think he's got a decent bat. I just think maybe Kansas City could use him because they're terrible. Right?
Steven Pierce, I actually think a team that actually would need him. Now this might actually surprise you a lot, but is the Yankees. I don't see this trade happening for one reason. They're in the same division. But if you really think about it, They got so... Actually, no, never mind. No.
You're not going there?
No.
No? Okay.
But...
Talk yourself out of it.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Pierce would look good on a team that needs, he can hit lefties well.
Yeah.
In my opinion. But
he's kind of a specialist.
Yeah, he's a one-trick pony.
The other thing that I wanted to touch on, Randall Grichuk's been terrible, but I think he's gonna be okay. He'll come around.
I actually think he might be that guy that if the Jays make the postseason, he's gonna be that guy that first game he plays, he's gonna go 3 for 3 with two doubles and a home run, and then he's gonna play every other game, every game in the postseason, and he's gonna be batting 300. He's gonna be.
I think he's gonna come around. I think he's got 20+ home run potential.
I say if he comes out of the little slump he's in right now, I say he could be a 2. Now he doesn't hit for average, that's the thing, but I say he could be a 265, 270 hitter, and then maybe hit you said. I could even see him hitting 25 to 30 home runs.
Yeah, I would agree. Maybe the biggest for me. Well, Teoscar Hernandez and Luke Maile have been whoa, where did these guys come from? Maile was under 200 average all year last year.
If Maile, at one point, I went to a game and I looked at his average on the screen, 0.027.
Yesterday it was 476. He's on fire.
If he keeps this up, you can't really trade him, but get rid of Martin.
Yeah, well, Martin's... I don't know if he's done this year or he's got another year left. I don't know. But, if Maile keeps this up, you can staple Martin to the bench. And the good thing about Martin is he can play different positions. He went to third base yesterday when Maile came in to pinch hit. Then he went to catcher.
There's a new rule about that, too, that you can't... if you put your DH for a position player, then you have to bring in your pitchers.
Well, that's not a new rule. That's something I just told you.
No, that's a new rule.
No, it's not.
Since last... Okay, man. I'm an idiot.
It's okay. No, you're not an idiot. Don't talk to yourself like that.
I can be who I want to be.
You can be nicer to yourself.
Oh.
Okay. What I was going to say was that Martin can... if Martin's on the bench, he can play third, he can play second.
Yeah. He was supposed to be the second baseman for the Canadian... I
think he was going to play shortstop, actually, at the World Baseball Classic. And then I think the Jays wouldn't let him or something.
No, because he didn't want to get injured.
Yeah.
But at this point, if Maile's the starting catcher...
If he's going to keep hitting like this, give him the ball. Give him the ball and run with it. Different sport, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Okay, the other thing I wanted to mention was, Luke Maile's been awesome. Teoscar Hernandez is...
Bautista?
One of my favorite players. Batista signed with the Braves. You didn't hear. That's cool. But no, what I was going to mention was I absolutely love Solarte.
Oh.
I love him. He's awesome. And I think he's the real deal. I think he's an everyday ball player, and I think he's going to be very good for this team. Even when Tulo comes back, again, same thing as Martin. Doesn't matter how much money they make. If he's not going to hit the ball, Solarte plays every day. I think that Diaz has also been a good pickup. I mentioned on the last podcast or the first one, don't remember. I said one thing they did well this offseason was
setting up a good middle infield.
Middle infield, exactly. And they've proven it. Diaz, he's hitting for power. He's not really hitting for average right now. I think that'll come around. But he's probably a bench player when the team's healthy.
He's a bench player, and he's that type of guy that, if you're going to, if you're like, I don't know, like, really how you bring him into a game because he's not going to hit for average. So if you bring him in as a pinch hitter, he maybe, like, 1 in every 10 at-bats, he's going to hit a bomb. But, like, other than that, like, he's more of a fielder. And you can't really, like, unless it's for defensive purposes, which you bring in somebody off the bench that has power and then you replace him with Diaz, which rarely happens. But, like, you don't really have a lot of people on the bench that can field that have really good fielding. So he's kind of that like odd man out type of guy. Yeah. That's like, but he's still like he's good. I think he can be good.
Yeah, but on Solarte, like that dude's energy is awesome. Like he's goofing off the whole time. I love it. Like
did you see him?
He's smiling. He's clapping his hands.
And they were playing the White Sox and. Him and Lopez, the pitcher, he was pitching for the White Sox. They were former teammates, and Lopez at that time had these certain pitches, and before that he had a nasty changeup, and so obviously Solarte didn't know, and it was like 1-2 count. 1-2 count. Lopez throws this nasty changeup like. Makes Solarte look horrible. It swings out of his shoes, and Solarte looks at him, sticks his tongue out, and you can read. You obviously can't hear him, but you can read his lips as like where does that come from? Like
it's awesome. I love that guy. Like he's so energetic,
and he's like he's kind of like he reminds me of like Adrian Beltre. Like he doesn't let. If he does something bad, he doesn't let it upset him. Like he still plays the game, and he loves the game like as it is. Like he's not there for the. Well, I mean, I guess he kind of is there for the money, but at the end of the day, all he wanted to do is really play ball.
I'm not a baseball GM for a reason, but if I was, Solarte would be getting a long-term deal right now. Let's get it done. I love you. Let's get it done.
See, I like this. If I was a GM, I'd sign guys to short-term contracts because. Solarte, that's kind of like, that's like, they could have easily, that's basically what they did with Morales. Like, you know what, like, when he was on Kansas City, like,
that was a mistake. They were trying to replace Edwin.
He was hitting bombs.
He's not like, Edwin, I'll put it that way. No.
He was hitting bombs, and it's like, okay, you're amazing, you're going to be our first baseman, and you're going to hit 35 home runs a year, at least, and you're going to be our big-time slugger that's going to hit 280, because at that time, Smoke was horrible, which he's obviously done really well, but yeah. Smoke, and he was like, you're going to be our big bomber, you're going to hit absolute nukes, and yeah. And then that obviously didn't work out.
We should move on.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add on the Jays?
No, not really.
No?
All I need to say is they need a better pitching staff. But other than that, their season's been doing really well.
No, they got a good pitching staff, man.
They needed an extra starter.
Okay. Playoffs so far. I will bring up my bracket. So we wanted to touch on like the brackets that we predicted. And on the first episode, we did brackets, but that was before the season ended. So Jack and I actually did new brackets.
On NHL.com.
On NHL.com before the playoffs. So we're just going to quickly recap that.
Yeah, I'm just going to.
I love playoff hockey.
Yeah,
it's
and mine is
best time of the year.
Mine is totally different. I have so many new playoff predictions.
Okay, I'll start.
Okay, yeah.
Tampa, New Jersey. I had New Jersey just because Tampa, their goaltender's been terrible in the second half of the season.
Yeah.
That's not looking good. Tampa's up 3-1, so I'm wrong on that. Boston, Toronto, tied 1-1 in Game 4. Boston's up 2-1 in the series. I had Boston taking that series because they were like the hottest team in the league second half of the season. Jack doesn't like that one very much, but I think Boston's going to come out ahead on that. Washington and Columbus. Columbus up 2-1 in that series. I think Columbus is going to beat them. Sergei Bobrovsky is a phenomenal goaltender. He's on the screen right now as we're watching the Leafs game. They flashed to Washington and Columbus quick, but Washington chokes every year, and I thought this was going to be the year for them. I actually picked them to win that series, but I think Columbus is going to beat them now. Capitals are going to choke again.
Yeah. So I was just about to log in, but I entered everything, and it says an account. So.
Oh, okay.
Which I do.
You remember what you picked though?
Yeah.
So Tampa, New Jersey, who'd you have?
Okay, so when I looked at the stats between the two teams, I'm like, oh my god, like New Jersey's actually matches up so much better than them. Like they beat them in every single category, including special teams, except for their power play and average goals a game. And at first I was like, okay, New Jersey might have a chance at winning this, and then I kind of had second thoughts. I'm like, yeah, but really, like, Tampa Bay is just so overpowered. Like, it's not even funny.
I mean, they were first in the East who finished first in the East?
No, Tampa.
Oh, Tampa did, yeah. They were first in the East. They
just,
ran away with it all year
they're just
until the
so
end.
overpowered. New Jersey actually beat them in all 3 games they faced in their regular season. But
I didn't know that.
Yeah, but Tampa Bay is just so overpowered, it's not even funny, so I had them taking it.
Okay, Boston, Toronto, you obviously had Toronto.
Yeah, I had Toronto taking it. 7 games.
Yeah.
Little bit of a different one. Now, originally I actually did think Boston would win just because like they were the hottest team in the league. And then again, I kind of second thought myself and I'm like, yep, Toronto's offense is so good. I feel like...
I mean, as a Leafs fan, it's hard to go against them.
Yeah, it's so close.
When I was a Habs fan, it was always... Didn't matter who they were playing, Habs are going to win.
Yeah.
Always.
And I'm not even trying... I wasn't even being biased, in my opinion, when I said that Toronto was going to win. Because I think their offense is just so good. Like, and especially Boston's decor is actually not very strong.
Boston dummied them in the first 2 games.
But McAvoy has a very bright future, but they have like one guy.
Chara is still good.
Oh, Big Z,
Big Z.
What an animal. But yeah, I think like Toronto's offense is too good. Boston's.
You still think Toronto wins that series?
Yeah, I think Boston's still, even though Boston's up 2-1. I think
Toronto could tie tonight.
Yeah, I think like. Boston's defense is not that good. Toronto's offense is really good. Boston is more of a mixed lineup. I think it's going to be extremely close. I don't even think there's going to be one single blowout. Every game, I'd say, is at least 2 goals difference, or like in the 2 goal difference range, like 2 goals or less. So that's going to be like really close.
Quick hits here. Washington, Columbus. Who'd you have?
I had Washington winning this one. When I was doing the podcast, I actually did think Columbus was going to win. And then kind of like the Tampa one with New Jersey, I kind of thought to myself, like...
Why are we on the game? Sorry, the game changed to Columbus and Washington for no particular reason. So we're just going to pop over to Boston, Toronto. Anyway, you were saying.
Yeah, but like Washington, I think their playoff curse is going to end, and then Alex Ovechkin, I feel like everybody says it's his fault that they haven't won a cup, but that's not true.
It's not his fault at
all. Not
even
close. And he very well go down as the best player in history to not win a Stanley Cup.
He's got a couple of years left.
Yeah, I said he may. But I think, Washington's kind of like Tampa is just too overpowered. I don't think Columbus can take them. Yeah, and Braden Holtby, even though
you think Washington's going to win that series now?
Yeah, even though Braden Holtby...
I don't. I think that Columbus goes up 3-1 tonight and shuts it down maybe in 5.
No,
we'll see. Pittsburgh and Philly. Who'd you have? Pittsburgh's up 3-1 as we speak. Yeah. Pittsburgh's blown them out in all 3 games that they've won.
Pittsburgh. Philly's kind of that weird playoff team. Yeah, Philly and New Jersey are those weird playoff teams. I see, this is pretty obvious that Pittsburgh is going to beat Philly. Philly, don't get me, they actually have a good, on paper, their lineup is actually good, but in my opinion, they just can't reach the potential that I think they can. And Pittsburgh, obviously, two Stanley Cups in a row, defending Stanley Cup champions. They're going to take probably this coming up game.
The thing that gets me with Philly is why have they gone to Brian Elliott in all 4 games?
He
sucks.
Why is their goaltending so bad?
Always permanently bad. They had Sergei Bobrovsky, and they traded him, and he's won 2 Vezinas since.
Yeah.
How does that make any sense? Like, bizarre.
They're going to get Carey Price, and they're going to trade him for Roman Polak.
Okay, so you had Pittsburgh in that series. I had said I had picked Washington. I'm now saying Columbus is going to win, but for my bracket, I did say Washington. And in Philly-Pittsburgh, I had Pittsburgh. And for the record, we won't go through the rest of the playoffs, but I did have Boston coming out of the Eastern Conference and playing in the finals. Who'd you have going to the final? You had Tampa, right? And I had picked New Jersey to beat them in the first round. Bad pick by me because they're down 3-1, and I don't see them coming back. Tampa probably goes to the throat in Game 5.
Like, you look at the stats, and you're like, this team, like, this is surprising. Like, they're going to win, but at the end of the day, like, some teams are just so overpowered. Like, no team can really compete with them. And playoffs is basically another season.
Yeah.
Like, it's whole different. Like, every year there's always those like 10 or 11 teams that are always going to make it. They're really good, and there's those like 5 teams or maybe 3 or 4 teams that surprise you. Like, this year is definitely New Jersey. Philly, they've been there before, but they're kind of out looking in. And then even if, like, I'm just gonna jump over to baseball here, but this year I think that, like, as talking about a surprise team, I think leading in their the first in their division right now, I think the Twins are actually going to be a surprise team.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I like that when teams come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I feel like that might be the Jays this year. That might come out of nowhere. Like, it's a long season. Things could go wrong in a hurry, but they look good right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go to the Western Conference. Nashville, Colorado. I had Nashville. You had?
I had Nashville. Originally, I said there was going to be no sweeps for me. Yeah, Nashville is going to sweep them. They're just so overpowered.
Nashville's up 3-1, I think.
Yeah,
as we speak.
So that sweep didn't happen, but I'm actually kind of surprised that like Avalanche somehow won that game.
They have a bizarrely good team. Like all of a sudden, like they look like trash now. Like McKinnon turned into an MVP candidate. Like
they need a better goalie.
Yep, I would agree with that. But they're coming. I think they're going to be a good team. Okay, so we both had Nashville there. What else? Winnipeg, Minnesota. I had picked this as my only sweep of the entire playoffs.
That did not happen.
I had Winnipeg. No, Winnipeg's up 3-1 right now. Do they play tonight?
No, they play tomorrow.
Okay.
But Winnipeg, Winnipeg didn't sweep.
Winnipeg probably takes 7-5. You had Winnipeg too?
I had Winnipeg. Their offense is so good. I love their team.
Oh, they're so good.
I love them. Like,
yes, if I could pick. I feel like if I could pick any team, the NHL's starting over, and there's going to be 31 GM openings, and I have first choice of any team in the league. This is a bizarre scenario, but any team in the league, I would like to have the Winnipeg Jets. They're going to be so good for a long time.
The funny thing is, their team's so good right now, but they have such a bright future.
They're young.
Like their average age is like 25 on their team.
Yeah, they're going to be good. Okay, so Vegas and LA. I had Vegas in 6.
I had Vegas as well.
And Vegas swept LA already. They're the only team right now in this. No, San Jose won last night. Swept Anaheim, but Vegas was the first team.
That actually surprised me. San Jose sweeping Anaheim.
Yeah. So, but on Vegas and LA, they swept LA. LA scored 3 goals in the series.
That's just Marc-Andre Fleury is carrying them.
Vegas is not the team that I picked to go all the way, but
it could very well happen.
You don't know how bad I want them to. Oh man,
I love their team, but I don't want them to. Like, I don't like an expansion team winning the cup.
That's the best story in sports history if they win the cup. An expansion franchise picked a bunch of nobodies that nobody wanted. Well, they wanted them, but it was like their 6th or 7th best player from every team. And they might win the cup. That's insane. Anyway, we both picked Vegas. And then Anaheim, San Jose. I actually picked Anaheim, and that was brutal because they get swept by San Jose. What did you say?
I said San Jose.
Who did you have going to the final in the West?
Nashville, versus Tampa Bay in the finals, and I have Nashville winning the cup.
Yeah, I had Nashville going all the way to the Stanley Cup final. They were going to beat Boston.
Boston?
Yeah, I had Boston in the East. I already told you that.
Okay.
Talked about that 5 minutes ago. Okay. Yeah, so Boston and Nashville in the final, and Nashville taking the cup. However, I am a massive Winnipeg Jets fan, as I just made clear. I would have no problem if Winnipeg beat Nashville. Happy as a clam. Whatever happens in the West in the next round is going to be fascinating. Nashville and Winnipeg, most likely.
Yeah, in the West.
That's going to be an incredible series.
Yeah.
Like, that's basically Stanley Cup final. Those are the two best teams in the league as far as I'm concerned.
I'd say so.
And then Vegas is going to take San Jose, and I
that
love
very
Vegas.
well could be a sweep.
Exactly. Vegas
Like,
goes to the conference final undefeated.
Like when you see a second round and a team gets swept, like second round, like it's happened like what 2 times, like almost ever in like the Stanley Cup finals.
To get swept?
Yeah.
There was a few years when I was younger, like I was your age, it happened like every year. Washington gets swept one year. Florida, it was Florida and Colorado. Florida got swept. Washington got swept by Detroit, I think. It was like 2 or 3 or 4 years in a row, something like that, where it was a sweep in the final every year. That hasn't happened in a long time. It was like in that late 90s, early 2000s, somewhere around there. The Washington-Detroit was in 97.
Oh, that Marion Hossa. No, that was later.
That was in like mid-2000s.
That was funny.
But yeah, Washington gets swept, and then Florida gets swept in 96. 95, Detroit won, I think.
Yeah.
And then they won again in 97 and 98. Detroit was so good. Anyway. Yeah, Vegas, man.
Yeah.
I would have no problem. Like, I love Nashville. I love PK Subban. I've made that abundantly clear. But if Winnipeg moved on, cool with it. And if Vegas beat Winnipeg or Nashville and went to the final, totally okay with that. I love all those 3 teams. I just love them. Anything else on that?
No, I see Nashville in the
Okay. You wanted this to be a shorter podcast. You're not getting a shorter podcast. We're already at an hour.
Okay.
When I edit it down, it won't be an hour, but right now we're at an hour. Okay. The last part, we're going to do the player comparisons we do every episode. I'm just going to do 3 quick ones tonight.
Yeah, he didn't actually have them set before.
Yeah. I just made them up now, and I think my dog's going crazy now. Anyway, we're trying to make this a little looser. I left the door open tonight and kind of left, background noise is cool. Doesn't bother me any.
We have this set automatically too, so they bark at a certain time.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll go through the 3 player comparisons, then we'll watch the second period of the Leafs game.
Yeah.
First one of these 2 guys are going against each other. They're actually playing the game we're watching right now.
Oh.
Would you rather? I feel like I already know the answer to this one, but I'm just interested to hear what you think. Rick Nash or Patrick Marleau?
It's kind of weird. Kind of like same player style too.
Similar, yeah. Nash is a little bigger, I think.
Yeah. I think, in my opinion...
But Nash isn't quite as old, but he's old.
Yeah. I'd say they're kind of dead even, but I say Nash is a little more intimidating. So, like, he is intimidating to other people. So I say Nash is a little better.
You go with Nash. I thought you go with Marleau just because you're a Leafs fan.
No, yeah, I say Nash. He has that long reach too, which probably plays.
I think Nash. Don't quote me on this, but even though I'm recording it, it's going to be in a podcast.
Yeah.
I feel like Nash has been playing lower in the lineup in Boston, third line, and he's actually fit in really well there.
This is the funny thing is because Marleau in the future is probably not about the same role, and he's getting really old, going to retire soon. But he's
2 more years left on the deal.
Staying around for the money right now. Yeah. But this is going back first podcast. They traded Nash for Spooner, and a billion other people.
Yeah, it was
the Rangers got.
It seemed like a bad trade, but Nash has been a really good fit in Boston.
Yeah,
it probably doesn't look good in a year or two when Spooner's, a top 6 forward in New York, and they got a prospect or two out of that too, or a draft pick. So
they
get a haul on that deal.
They, out of everything on the trade deadline, they're going to be so good in like 10 years.
Well, the rumor is they're going to sign Kovalchuk. He's coming over. Okay, so I'd go with Nash on that too. I thought you were going to go the other way on that because Marlowe's a Leaf.
No, yeah, I say Nash.
He's fit in really well. Marlowe's really overpaid for a third line player because that's what he is in Toronto.
Oh my God, he's over. It's not pretty.
Nash probably comes back next year on a. They're talking about he's going back to New York too. That's like a back pocket deal. Is already done.
This is another funny thing is Marlowe is the highest paid player on the Leafs besides Mike Babcock, who's the coach, and he's making the most money on the team.
Yeah.
But Marlowe's is making the most money on the team, and he's a third line player. Which obviously, like Matthews soon and Nylander and Martin, they're a young team, so they have a lot of guys on like their NHL entry level contracts, and they're gonna make loads of money. But like the funny, like right now, Marlowe, a third line player, is making the most money on the team.
He's getting paid for his experience.
And Mike Babcock is making more than anybody on the team, and he's a coach.
Yeah.
He's making like $7 million.
Anyway, second one, William Karlsson or Sean Couturier?
William Karlsson.
No hesitation on that.
No,
So I thought that one was interesting because those guys were two of the three finalists for the Selke Trophy, the best defensive forward in the league.
We were talking about that a couple of minutes ago.
Couturier had a breakout year. He was nearly a point per game.
Maybe a better team player.
Karlsson's had an even more of a breakout year. He had 6 goals last year. He had 43.
Sean Couturier, I think he's just better. He's more of a team player, and like even with Philly, then they have they have Simmons, who I guess you could say is kind of a team player, but more of a scorer. Same with Giroux. They're kind of team players, so it's like, and they don't get the most goals, and then so they kind of have a lot of that. But then with like Vegas, they have a lot of team players, and they don't have the most. Like James Neal, who's supposed to be probably the second best player on the team, and hasn't done as good.
Yeah.
But he's still not good. But like but I just think William Karlsson, like 43 goals, like that's 7 goals away from a 50-goal season. At the beginning of the year, if you were to put him on any other, and just the breakout like that he's had, like if you were to put him on the Leafs at the beginning of the year, he wouldn't even make the team. He would not even make the team.
Yeah, maybe not. That's a good point. I would probably, I don't know. I'm torn on this one. Because Couturier is a good player. He's a known defensive commodity. He had a breakout year offensively.
Yeah, he's kind of a little bit of, like I said, team player. Like he scores goals, but he's a defensive player too. Like,
well, Karlsson, was looking it up here. Last time I checked, he had like a 20% shooting percentage. His shooting percentage this year was 23.4%. The odds of him repeating that are next to nil. An average shooting percentage is around 10. I just think this year, even though he had 43 goals, and that's amazing, it's very impressive, I don't think he's going to repeat it.
Yeah.
He kind of goes back down to that 10% next year.
I feel like you would almost think with an expansion team it's vice versa, but I feel like Vegas this year is going to be like, this is like their one chance, and then after that, like they have some good future guys, but their core right now is going to go by. Like David Perron, I actually think is a guy the Leafs should sign. But
he's a free agent, I think.
Yeah, he is. That's why I'm saying. Like him, Neal, Karlsson is also a free agent. They're all gone. Their core is going to be gone.
Neal's a free agent. I don't think Karlsson is.
No, Neal. Not next year. The year after, Neal's a free agent. Like their core is going to fall apart. But like, I don't think Karlsson might have like a 20 goal or 25 goal season, but not that again. Probably. Yeah.
Okay, so I think I'm torn on that one. If I go Karlsson is because he really lit it up. I really like that. I like guys that score. He had a big year. I'm going Karlsson too. Last one, and this is for the goalie. 2 goalies for the goalie. This might be a silly one, but I'm going to ask anyway. A couple of Russians. Sergei Bobrovsky or Andrei Vasilevsky? And it's tough. That's maybe not even a fair comparison, to be honest. Bobrovsky is the
That's
established
really
veteran. But he's an established veteran. He's won 2 Vezinas. But Vasilevsky had a pretty good year, really tailed off at the end, but he was really good at the first of the year. He's going to be a really good number 1 goaltender for a while. He's also only 23 years old. Lots of room to grow there. He's big. Bobrovsky's like 6'2", I think. Vasilevsky's 6'6". I think he's 6'6". I'm pretty sure he's 6'6". I'm going to look it up.
No, I'd take... Yeah, you know what? Even though Vasilevsky's tailed off, I'm going to take Vask just because... Like you said, he's young, so he has room to grow. Okay, he had 1 bad half year. I think he still can be an elite.
Sorry, I misspoke on that. He's 6'3". He just looks huge. He's 6'3".
Okay, yeah, no, he's room to grow. And then Sergei Bobrovsky is consistent, but he just. He can't reach the same level that Vasilevsky can. When Vasilevsky's on his game, he'll get 40 shots a game.
Bobrovsky won 2 Vezinas.
Okay, listen. I'm talking when Vasilevsky's on his game. When he's on his game, he gives up 1 goal on 40 shots.
Yeah,
he's that good.
So you're taking Vasilevsky?
I'm taking Vasilevsky.
I'm taking Bobrovsky.
Okay, why?
Because he's so good. I was watching overtime. They lost in overtime the other night, watching it back in the series. But I just watched 5 minutes of overtime, and Bobrovsky was so locked in. What's he doing right here? They're showing, it looks like Washington just scored. Showed a replay. He didn't look locked in there. But he was so locked in overtime. He looked unbeatable. And then it was just a freak play. A shot, I think bounced off him and then hit Lars Eller, bounced off a defenseman and went in the net. That was the game-winning goal. And, you couldn't do anything about it.
No.
Yeah. So, when he's on his game, I just think no one's ever going to score on him.
I mean, he's consistent, but he can't reach the same level as Vasilevsky. So.
2 Vezinas.
Okay.
He's 2-0 on Vezinas against Vasilevsky right now.
That stat doesn't...
However, Vasilevsky did get a nomination this year, and Bobrovsky did not.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what happened.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I'd still like Bobrovsky. My favorite thing has already been mentioned is that the Philadelphia Flyers are permanently horrible at goaltending, and he played for them, had a bad year. They flipped him for a 2nd-round draft pick and 2 fourths, and then he won a Vezina.
Who? Oh,
Bobrovsky. Yeah. And they got, I forget who they got in the draft picks, but the point is that you don't trade a Vezina Trophy candidate for those draft picks.
Speaking of Vezina Trophy candidate, there's one right there.
Your boy, Connor Hellebuck on the commercial. All right, that's all I had for this podcast. Anything you want to add?
No, not really. That was good.
It's getting kind of weird in here. I forgot to turn the lights on before we started, and we in an hour and 13 minutes it's gotten dark. Yeah. So we're sitting in the dark right now. The TV's on. Second period's coming up for the Leafs and the Bruins. So let's watch that.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
That was your boys, Jack and Justin.
Your boys. We'll check in with you soon. I don't know when. Probably take a couple of more weeks. We'll check in the second round of the playoffs. Kind of do that over again. Just kind of chat about what we've been watching in the playoffs. Probably another check in on the Jays. We'll see. We do whatever we want.
Yeah.
You can listen to it or you don't. You don't have to.
But you should.
You should. If you're intelligent, you will.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.